who's in their prime at Arsenal in 2004, none other than Thierry Henry. No, don't aim for me. Aim for Messi. Aim for Ronaldo. You know, I'm looking back now. If I could choose one thing that I could take back, not to do, I would take that back, and I would not have gone there. You have agents where they're on you, they're hot on you when you're doing really well, and it's like life, you know. Sometimes we're even friends. When you're doing well, everyone wants to be your friend. Everyone wants to call your phone, everything like that. When you're not doing well, calls not getting picked up and everything like that.
Before we get into this video, please make sure to subscribe to TotalSport. It would mean so much to us. We want to get 1.1k as soon as we can. So yeah, let's get into this video. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another TotalSport video. And today we're joined by a very, very special guest, a guy who I've actually been on his channel before he's been on mine, which is a very, it's like a first, I think, for anyone. But we've got Mr. Jordan Brown with us, formerly of Arsenal, West Ham, and now over in Canada, but back over here now. So how are you, mate? Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. Just spending time with my family in the off season, and you know, it's always good to take a break from football. This year's been a madness, you know. Everyone knows what's been going on, but yeah, it's just good now that I can have a bit of breathing space and kind of plan my route. What's going to be happening next year, 2021.
Yeah, well, we'll start now and we'll go back. So how has it been in Canada for you? Because obviously you probably had to spend some time over there during the lockdown period. Would you say it's more organised than the UK has been?
Yeah, in terms of lockdown, you know, everyone was like very respectful when, you know, the order got placed. Only people were going outside to go to the supermarket, and that was really it. Maybe go petrol station and whatnot, but from what I can remember, I didn't see anyone else in any other places, and you know, pretty much every other place wasn't open anyway. So that was that with Canada, and you know, the the typical toilet roll situation was happening over there. You know, so you know, you need to stock up on that. But other than that, no, it was all right. It's just, you know, when it's that cold during that time, because the season hadn't started yet, it was very hard because we had to keep fit. And normally we use inside dome to train in until the season starts. So in Calgary, when the season actually starts, that's when the snow stops. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So instead of going to the dome, which we weren't allowed to because of COVID restrictions, we had to literally do runs outside and ladders on the sidewalk and whatever. So that was like a new experience for me, but you know, it's all part of the process, and it makes you really mentally gained. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely, mate. So we're going to take a massive rewind all the way back to the start now. And where was your love for football birth from? Where did it start for you?
Yeah, I just think it started probably from my brother and my dad, really. Obviously, my dad, you know, he grew up in the Caribbean, moved over to the UK when he was 8 years old. And I think he was just a big cricket fan, if I can recall. But I think when he moved over, he fell in love with football, and his team was Chelsea, and that passed on to my brother, and then my brother got into football a little bit later in terms of, you know, going into academies and whatever, because he only got into academy when he was 13, which was, you know, very late for somebody to actually do that. And then, you know, just seeing my brother's passion for it and seeing my brother's drive, that kind of inspired me to say, you know what, I think I'm good enough. You know, I used to spend a half in Sunday league in goal, and then they used to give me a half to like go outfield, and you know, that was probably to the end of the game. So yeah, that's how it started for me. I started as a centre midfielder, and you know, made my way up the pitch.
Yeah. And so when you first got picked up by Arsenal, what was that sort of feeling like?
Yeah, that was mad. You know, thinking back right about now, you know, to go through that process at a young age, you don't really realize what's happening. You know, your parents, you know, they do the best they can in terms of not putting too much pressure on you, you know, especially before anything's even started, you know. But when I got an invitation to go down to like a development center, they put you in development center first. You train there, and then you go to the big trials, and the big trials is something crazy that, you know, you've never seen before, where it's like 200 kids, and then every month or every week or so, I can't remember exactly the time frame, but it gets shorter and shorter. And how I made it down to the last 20 kids, I don't know. You know, I don't remember how good I was. I was good, but I wasn't like stand out.
Yeah. So at Arsenal, was there any particular sort of coaching methods or coaches or players that yourself that you were inspired by, and why?
Yeah, well, if you're talking about coaching specifically, coaching is very different there that I've never experienced anywhere else I've played, you know. Things that we did there, we don't really do now, you know. We did like a lot of mannequin work, pattern play and stuff like that. And, you know, stuff very specific. So you start with a drill, for example, and, you know, you've got two lines and in the middle, there's two players. And then you pull off the mannequin and you do different turns of it. And, you know, I remember learning that you have to take your touch on your back foot and then your second touch on your back foot. But normally people don't do that, you know, those little things in football where, you know, if you take your touch on your back foot and then you take your touch on your front foot to go past it, then the defender can come and, you know, take the ball from you. So these things are things that I learned early in football where it's like little differences that, you know, put you that margin ahead of who you're playing against. And that showed because we were outstanding in comparison to, you know, all the other academies we were playing against, except probably Chelsea. You know, Chelsea are like the big dogs. But yeah, we were like outstanding at that age. And who inspired me? You know, of course, you know, when you sign, I was about 8 years old, so that's like 2004. And who's in their prime at Arsenal in 2004? None other than Thierry Henry. So for me, looking at Thierry Henry as a striker, that's just all I wanted to be, you know. Especially he played for Arsenal, and you know, you play with your socks over your knees and everything like that with gloves on. So that gave us an excuse early to wear gloves, you know. So yeah, those were my inspirations from Arsenal days.
Yeah, yeah, you've had on your channel, which we'll get onto later. You've had Alex Iwobi on. So did you grow up in the same sort of youth system as he did, and what was he like as a young player?
Yeah, so Alex, you know, he's this so how it works in England, they take your school year, you know. So whoever's watching, if you go to school in England, you know what I mean. So it goes from September to August. That's your school year. But he was the same year group, but a school year higher than me. So we're both 1996. He's born in May, I'm born in November. So we at the start we didn't really play together that much because I wasn't playing his age group. But as I got to about 12 years old, that's when I started playing up years. And yeah, I started playing with him. And then we ended up making our England debuts together. And yeah, it was like, you know, experience like that. But how he was when he was a young age, he was up and down, man, you know, similar to myself, but he was up and down in terms of, you know, when he first came through, he was very good, you know, very skillful. And at that age, you can show a lot of things. But then I think when the game started to evolve for him and everyone started to get older, then, you know, he can't really take too many touches on the ball. And I think that's what the problem that they were telling him, you need to stop taking too many touches on the ball, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, he just found the click. I remember that year where he was like 15 and he just clicked. And then from there, he just started playing out of his skin. And then, you know, he even had, you know, trials and tribulations in his youth team days, but still, you know, he was a good player and everyone can see that. But you know, he's come through a lot that people don't see, you know, to make it to where he is now, you know. He didn't always get yeses, you know. There was a lot of no's, probably more no's than yeses. So credit to him that, you know, he kept on persevering, stayed at Arsenal as well, and believed in himself that he could make it. And he was literally probably, I would say, the first since Jack Wilshere to really break through in Arsenal's first team and really, you know, keep his place there.
Yeah, definitely. So moving on from Arsenal, you were picked up by West Ham United. So what made you make that move in particular, and was it a difficult decision to make?
Yeah, so it was like, you know, at that age, you know, I was doing really well, you know. I was playing for England under 16s and I was on like standby list for 17s and everything like that. And at that age, you know, I didn't feel like I was getting the opportunities I deserved and warranted at that age to be starting week in, week out for like the under 18s team. especially in my preferred role as a striker. You know, I was playing on the wing and stuff. So, you know, they were trying to, it was like pull and tug, you know, they were trying to sell me something in terms of, you know, we're playing you for older age groups. But I just didn't feel like I was playing in my preferred position, and I was being played over, you know, people who I didn't see at the time who were better than me, you know, for whatever that reason they were doing. So for me, I just said, you know, I looked at the track record from the club, and I said, there hasn't been that many people in my position, especially that has made it, you know. And I said, you know, there's a couple clubs interested. Obviously, at that time, you had to. I think still now you have to pay a compensation fee, even though you're free. And yeah, that's what West Ham did. And I felt like at the time, you know, I would have a very better opportunity to play first team football, which, you know, looking back, I did end up featuring for West Ham first team, and I was on the bench, you know, a few times. So at the end of the day, it was, you can say that I did achieve what I thought I could have achieved at Arsenal. It warranted the opportunity, but you never know what would have happened at Arsenal, because you see a lot of you know, kids getting opportunities after, you know, after I left. So making the move was just purely on opportunity and wanting to have a career in the game.
Yeah. And again, I'll repeat sort of a similar question. What was good about West Ham? What role models did you have there that you were really inspired by?
I would say, you know, that it was a different kind of pond, if you want to say that type of term, when I was at West Ham. In terms of role models, you know, I look for, like, no disrespect, I respect every professional, but if a kid is coming up in the game right now and he's looking at Jordan Brown as his hero, I'll say, no, don't aim for me, aim for Messi, aim for Ronaldo, you know. That's what I would say, you know. Um, I want to be the best, you know. So um, for from that regard, I didn't really look up to anybody at West Ham, you know. And maybe that's where it differs when you change situations, you know, like that. You know, there's no one really to hold you on those type of standards, you know. Um, it might be, the standards might drop when you go to that level. So yeah, it was a bit different in that regard. But you know, there's some top pros, and there was some top pros at that time. Obviously, you got Mark Noble. He's had a great career. I'd love to have his career in the Premier League, doing what he's done, playing so many years for one club. You also had like players coming in and out, like Joe Cole, you know, who he would talk to you as a young player and give you a lot of wisdom. So there was many players who came in and out who I did respect in that regard, but they weren't in their prime, you know. So it was a bit hard to look up to them in that way and be like, wow, I really want to be like them type of thing, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And you had a loan spell in non-league as well. Talk to us about that. Was it sort of a toughening up period for you? And what was the style like there?
Yeah, looking back, you know, it taught me a lot because, you know, in the first place, I don't think I should have like put myself in that position, you know, to begin with, because this is things that people don't really see in football, you know. Um, who you know is a big thing, and like who's representing you at the time, making decisions on your behalf, and why they're making decisions. Is it in their best interest? Is it not? But I felt like it was the wrong move, me going there. The only the only thing you can really get out of that is like, you can really, there's more bad things to happen in that situation than good, because say for example you do well, people would be like, you know, it was non-league, you know, even though I was 18 at the time, like it was non-league. So what? You did well. You are expected. You're at a Premier League team. If you do bad, they're like, well, why would we give you another chance in our first team? You know, you're obviously not ready. But how it is at that level is, you're playing with, for the first time, people who are not really thinking the same type of football as you are. You know, I knew about non-league in that regard, but I didn't really know how it was until I was in the game, you know. And a lot of the time, the ball was in the air, and you know you have to kind of play off second balls and things like that. And for me, I'm not gonna lie, that was very hard, you know, and a lot to get used to. Physically, I was capable because I was a big boy for that age, but still, you know, yeah, it was something getting used to, you know. Even the transition from Arsenal to West Ham, you know, that was something I had to get used to, but that was still something that was very, you know, it wasn't foreign to me. But going to non-league, that was foreign, you know. And I'm looking back now, if I could choose one thing that I could take back not to do, I would take that back, and I would not have gone there. But you know, that's good that I did it, because you live and learn.
Yeah, exactly. And so you're obviously you're playing in Canada now, and but you've been here, there, and everywhere really. And was it something you always sort of thought about doing, is playing abroad as a young kid? And was it something that you took the opportunity for as soon as Hanover came in for you?
Yeah, so for me, playing abroad, that was never really something I looked at, you know, playing tournaments at a young age. We always played against like the best teams, like you got like PSV, Ajax, you got Barcelona, Real Madrid. I think I even played against AC Milan one time as a kid. So for me as a kid, I only ever really saw myself, you know, if I wasn't gonna go play at Arsenal Academy, I was gonna go play at, you know, West Ham Academy. If it wasn't West Ham Academy, it would have been like a big academy abroad, you know, type of thing. And to be fair, Hanover, it was a good setup and everything. But after that, I never really visioned myself, you know, playing abroad for a team that possibly I don't really have any history on, where I don't know the history, and I don't know, you know, what happened before, you know, I got there. So it was very new to me, you know, moving abroad, learning a different language, you know, different culture and everything like that. So no, I never actually expected what I would, you know, set out to do, but I'm loving it right now. And I don't think, you know, unless it was a good level in England, I don't think I would actually go back, in all honesty. Moving abroad, you know, it makes you come out that one thing, one standard mindset where you just think in one type of way, you know, and your mind becomes very much more open.
Yeah, definitely. So you went. I had a spell back at Barnet, I believe I read.
Yeah, that was crazy.
What happened there?
Not many people know that story. So how the story goes, I was at Hanover, and like I said before, prior, you know, when you're looked after, bad agents, I'll say bad agents. And at the time, you know, I wanted to have an opportunity to play in England again. And, you know, that was something I was looking at. There was a few teams that I thought I could get into or whatnot. And I believed I was of the standard, just didn't get given opportunity. And then my agent at the time, because my contract was ending in the summer at Hanover, he said, you know, you can go in the January window, um, and try to go to, you know, an English team. But, you know, at the time I didn't really know what was going on, because obviously he's talking to the clubs and whatnot. But you know, later on down the line, I would find out that this agent doesn't really have any connections in terms of, you know, you know, who he's talking to. I signed with him blindly just out of his name and status and who he was. But it was one of those situations where he got put on by his cousin, and his cousin is a very big footballer who everybody knows. He's world class, a legend, and his cousin put him on basically, as the agent, and said, you know, go, yeah, be an agent for my company. So if you can work that out, you
Yeah,
know,
let us
go
know in
work.
the comment section.
Let us know in the comment section who that could be. But yeah, he was my agent at the time, and you know, I ended up leaving Hanover, terminating my contract, which, looking back now, probably the wrong decision to do if I knew that this agent had no connections. And then he tried to say, find me a team, couldn't find me a team. I ended up finding myself a team, which that team ended up being Barnet. So then how it goes, the story from there was signed. And in football, you have to wait for international clearance. So if you're not a big Premier League footballer, international clearance could take a month. And that is like the cutoff deadline to get cleared to go play in a different country. And it actually took a month, took the full month. So I couldn't play. And by the time I could play, I was having a son. Having my son, I had to go back to Germany, have my son. And then that was on like, I think that was on like a Thursday or something. And then on the Sunday, I was flying back to go training for the Monday and looking at my phone on Twitter. And my international clearance has cleared by now, by the way. And the manager is sacked. So the manager got sacked. New manager comes in. He has meetings with like, there's a squad of 30. But when I was signed, I'm in like potentially the top 11, you know. Even one game I was supposed to start a game. And when I come back, have a meeting with a new manager, and he just says, listen, we're fighting relegation, League Two. I feel like, you know, you're not experienced enough to get me out of this situation. How old was I then? I was 21, but, you know, for me, I thought I was of age and everything like that, but didn't think I was the man of the job, and they ended up getting relegated. So I missed out on relegation anyway. So
Yeah, that's not a blemish on your record. And
no,
who would have known whether they'd have kept Jordan Brown up front, and maybe, you know, they could have stayed up.
never know.
Yeah. So obviously coming back to England, were you thinking, right, I've got to stay in England now, or was there always going to be offers from abroad that you eventually did take?
No, at the time I was really like set in stone, and I was thinking, no, I want to go back to England. And I was thinking at the time, which is disappointing when you look at how the English game is run. You know, I think it needs to be restructured from top to bottom. I feel like they are doing it a little bit with the academies now, and they're getting their players on good loans and whatever, and they got the EFL Cup and stuff. But it's a bit of a gimmick because you're putting out your best academy players. They're winning, but they're winning against like EFL teams who don't want to get embarrassed. You know, they don't want to get embarrassed by under 21 players. So they try to be like, yeah, we're going to put our reserves out. So if we do lose, we don't look shit. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what a lot of EFL teams have done. But in terms of the bottom EFL teams, how they should structure everything, I feel like, you know, if you are a team like MK Dons were under Carl Robinson, you can win the league, you know, if you trust in your young players and everything like that. But a lot of managers don't. So that was the problem I kind of had, you know, going back to England, and they don't really respect. I played in the fourth division in Germany, you know, being an under 21 player in the second team at Hanover, you know, that does count for something in Germany. I didn't realize it back then. In Germany, I could have moved up higher after that, but I didn't have anyone in place to kind of lead me to that pathway. That's why I went back to England, and you know, they don't really respect that because it's a foreign country, but it's the same level as playing in League Two. But in League Two, they would look at that like, oh, he's played in League Two type of thing. Look how many games. A League One team then would take you. You know what I mean? But that's what I mean when like the English structure needs to kind of be broken down, because there's a lot of talent that's going to waste just not through opportunity, you know. And yeah, just because of lack of experience in England was the reason why I never end up getting an opportunity over there. And also the fact that, you know, I was doing everything on my own without an agent. So then I ended up going to Czech Republic and to get games before heading out to Canada.
Yeah. So just on that subject, do you think that the public and the football supporting world in general don't really understand the importance of opportunity and agents and that sort of thing? And what would you say to sort of convey that more?
Yeah, so how it really works, I would say, is you have agents where, you know, you have agents where they're on you, they're hot on you when you're doing really well. And it's like life, you know, sometimes even friends. When you're doing well, everyone wants to be your friend. Everyone wants to call your phone, everything like that. When you're not doing well, calls not getting picked up and everything like that. I never really got that problem because with those type of agents, I kind of left them early on in my youth career, and I was doing well then anyway. And I was always looking for good people anyway. And I did have good people as agents. They were always good people, but like the game is the game, and no one's gonna be honest to you and be like, "Listen, I'm sorry, I can't do anything for you," type of thing. As an agent personally, that's how I would be. I would be honest with my player. If I can't get him a club or whatever, I'd be like, go sign with this agent, even though you're contracted with me. And that's another problem as well. Like a club, you know, you can't just leave your club, you know, unless they terminate your contract, you have to run out your deal or someone has to buy you. With an agent, it's the same thing. You have a contract with your agent. So your agent doesn't want you to go to another club because another agent will get that agency fee because you're contracted with him legally. You actually can't do that, you know. So then, say for example, another agent comes to you and says, "I got this team for you abroad, very good league." Because you're contracted with another agent, that deal might fall through because your agent can't work with this other agent through greed. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So these are all the opportunities, or one of the many opportunities that are being missed out throughout the country for all these young talented players, you know. And I believe England do, probably along with France, Brazil, that we have the most talented players, you know. We produce the most talented players. If you look at the English pyramid system, if they're coached right, you know, you got good standard players from Premier League, I believe, all the way down to the sixth tier, honestly. Because some players like, you know, myself, you know, they were good academy players, but they've made their way down to the sixth tier. Doesn't mean they're a bad player. Just means they haven't been given opportunity, you know. And yeah, there's many good players, but just why don't they get this opportunity somewhere else, or you know, for their parent club? It's just that's what we need to come to terms with, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And now we're at the present. Canada, Cavalry. What brought you there basically, and why Canada?
Yeah, for me, you know, I just kind of got sick of a lot of things. I just said to myself, I just need to try something different. Like I've never tried before, you know. Sticking with abroad, because remember I just tried to do England again, but I just said, you know what, I just need to try something different. Go get away, go somewhere where I believed at the time, and I'm happy to still say that it came to fruition. That you know I'm gonna be happy just playing football, you know, type of thing, and get opportunity to play and showcase my talent. Brand new league, brand new team, brand new stadium, brand new fans. You know, everything was new, new country. It was something that I couldn't miss. You know, I always wanted to go to Canada as well, never been. So it was all those boxes getting checked, and yeah, that's what I would say that brought me to Canada. You know.
Yeah, and what sort of the standard of the league out there now? I know that there's a couple of teams in Canada in the MLS. How much have you sort of come face to face with them, and what is the standard of the league in general?
Okay, so I'll give you a rundown. I always say to people when they ask me that question, I always say, so you get, for example, you get League Two, you get a League Two team. I would say the best Canadian player would go to League Two and be like the best player. You know? He would be the best player. Like in terms of his ability, maybe in that environment and that set in League Two, he might not stand out that way. But like in terms of like the best player, technically player, the most pleasing on the eye, he would be the best in League Two, probably. Um, but then on the other hand, so then he would be able to be playing League One Championship, be in those type of teams, right? Um, but then the worst player in the league wouldn't be able to play in the sixth tier of English football, you know. So that's where it gets mixed up, you know. You got this kind of going on where, like in England, Germany, France, like all the Italy, you know, all the consistencies there, you know. You get a lot of consistency in terms of whether that be training, games, and watching, coaching. It just becomes a lot easier, you know, for everything. So that's what I'd say the difference is. But having said that, you know, MLS, everyone knows the quality of the MLS because now you got players going to Premier League teams and whatnot. Um, for like 20 million. I don't know how much Almiron went for, but yeah, we ended up playing an MLS team, Canadian team in the Canadian Championship, which is like the FA Cup pretty much. And last season we beat them with their full strength team. So ended up scoring in that game. And yeah, at their place, second leg, first leg was 0-0. Second place, we won 2-1. Like that was massive, you know. To do that in the first ever season, you know, that's something that will be remembered forever. And you know, many people, you know, they doubted us because of that reason, us being the first year league and first year team. They thought, you know, this established league and everything would be able to walk us over, players on like 1 million a year contracts and everything like that, where our whole budget is 1 million, you know. So doing that was crazy, and that got to show that if you put the right team together, then in Canada the standard is very good, you know. Especially the team that we had last year was very good.
Yeah, definitely. Well, as everyone knows, football is quite a short career. You're only 23, so you've got plenty of time to go. But already, I've seen you started to think about other options. Your YouTube channel, which of course I will feature on. I don't know when that video's up, but yeah. So, what inspired you to do that, really, and what was it that gave you that inspiration?
Yeah, for me, always said, you know, I'm somebody where I feel like I am opinionated, and I am somebody where I do rate my knowledge on football and everything like that. So it was many different things, and you got like different sides of it where you want to give back to kids, you know, supporters. So just many things meshed into one. But the main reason was, you know, I know a lot of players in football, and I know the things they go through, and I wanted to portray a different side of them and a different image of them to the public, not a fake one, a real one, you know, something that people could watch and be like, you know, change their mind on footballers, you know, because footballers are seen to be that flashy guy, you know, with a, a fake looking girlfriend and everything like that, you know, driving fast cars and everything. It's not like that at every level, you know. And I always wanted to, you know, give also back to like footballers in that regard. And, you know, starting it, you know, it was something that I was passionate about, because you look at the NBA, for example, the NBA, how they speak in interviews and everything is free. You know, they say what they want. They're not worried about taking a headline out and putting it in a newspaper or whatever. You know, they just say what they want, say what's on their chest, as long as it's not racist, homophobic, sexist, whatever, you know, in that regard, then you're free to really say whatever you want and however you please. Same as the public, you know, you see supporters having freedom of speech on Twitter and everything. I feel like footballers should get given the same kind of, you know, leeway. Of course, they're role models to a lot of people, but I feel like you can be a role model in your own way. And this is kind of why I started the channel.
Yeah, exactly. What are your plans and what you want? What do you want to gain from it, in yourself and for other people?
Of course, for myself, I'm looking on it as, you know, potentially something that I could do after my career, where, you know, I could be somebody within the media in terms of, I wouldn't want to call myself a pundit or anything like that. I would create my own lane in terms of, like you said, something that's never been done before in terms of you know, being openly able to speak as an English footballer, because, you know, one thing I've noticed is a lot of English footballers, you only see their personality after their career. Like you see on TV now, Micah Richards, you see on TV, Jamie Carragher, Gary Neville. Like no one knew their personalities during their career. It's only after their career you found out they're actually, you know, good people from the outside looking in. So, you know, that's something that I would want to do while playing. You know, become like a personality in that way and be able to show people at my level I can still perform on the pitch. You know, that is something that is possible. It's not something that's taking my mind away from, you know, from football. If anything, you know, it's actually put me in a happy place and doing what I want to do. You know, and that's for my game. You know, that's something that I want to do for myself. In terms of other people, what I want to get out of the channel, like I said before, I want to put a platform to footballers where they feel free to come on, and you know, this is the place where you can be yourself, and everyone knows that, you know, type of thing. And I wouldn't care if I took all the heat from it, from a media outlet or whatever. For me, it's just doing what, you know, I can do for the footballers and connecting footballers with the fans. That's something that I want to do as well, that I think hasn't been done yet. So these are the type of things, yeah, that I want to do for the channel. Yeah, so my personal social media account is Jordan Antonio Brown. My YouTube channel, and you know, I wouldn't say it's just a YouTube channel, you know, a platform for young kids if you want to, you know, get inside information on the knacks, the ins and outs on, you know, how it is to be a professional footballer. Then 4258 on Instagram, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and also Facebook. So yeah, find us on there.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone go drop Jordan and the team a subscribe, and subscribe here as well. I don't know why I wouldn't do that.
Press the button now.
Yeah, do it. It's absolutely free. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, everyone, and we will see you next time.